welcome back. Today we're doing a very casual little sketch with me. Forgive my recording setup, it's shit, so yay! The book we will be using, the little sketchbook, the guy, is very heavy, so give me a minute, is right here. This monster is a sketchbook I have not toured at all, and honestly I'm kind of trying to keep it a little secret from you. So partially you might get peeks here and there because I have to do maintenance on this thing all the time. It's so chunky. I have to constantly fix things. We're just gonna move on to a new page. And the thing is, we don't actually need the sketchbook for this page because on each backside page, these left pages, I tend to use a sheet of paper and glue it on. So we're not actually using the sketchbook itself today. So let's go. I don't really have an idea for this page. I just have a piece of paper. But these are all previous sketches from other sketchbooks that I tend to collect over time. And sometimes I use them to start out the base of a new page. And I think it would probably be pretty good to use this sketch right here. This entire sketchbook is sort of a very, very long, ongoing project of mine. It's a project I hope to talk a lot about on this channel. And the premise is that each character within this project is getting their own designated sketchbook just for them. So I can figure out literally everything about them, from their favorite color to their brand of socks. I don't know. But this is for my very first character. All my characters were made in chronological order, so this is the oldest of all these characters for this storyline. Not her. We'll get to her in a minute. This character is named Biu, spelt like bow, almost, but pronounced Biu, because I'm a freak. And basically, the story is called Either Or. The premise is I'm hoping to make it a game where each level is a different character's story. It's going to be slightly light novel-esque, choose your own adventure game, and I don't exactly have the coding skills to pull it off, but I have some ideas. None of which are too solid, so I won't be talking about them. Anyway, because Biu is my special little baby number one, she's going first. For some very basic background information on Biu, she is a gender-fluid, pansexual person, and her whole kind of theme and vibe is that of a manic artist, someone who creates without caution. The woman right here is her mother, or rather an older design of her mother. I've changed her design a bit since this sketch, but she still looks rather similar. It's just I've changed her facial structure alongside making Biu's family so I can give them all similar features. While I won't be exactly keeping the story a secret, it is something I hope to actually make someday. So I'm not sure how much I'll reveal, but it's all also liable to change. I'm not a person who wants to get stuck in my own head about my ideas and have to stick to my first draft. I know that's unreasonable. I'm going to change my mind, I'm going to discover plot holes, and I'm going to have to fix them. But as of right now, Biu's mother is a rather controlling person. This comes from sort of the society they live in, but also just it's her personality. She is controlling. Biu herself originally doesn't really fight back against this. Though Biu, in her current day form, is loud, expressive, and completely self-confident, she didn't used to be that way. She's a character of mine who I think embodies my own artistry, and that's what I think a lot of characters of people's OCs and stories should embody and represent, is just a sense of that person. I think even when you don't intend to, you can unintentionally put yourself into your characters, your small quirks, your passions, your interests. And Biu is definitely a part of me that is an artist. However, unlike Via's mother, I don't think my mother ever discouraged me from doing art. But I think Via's mother has a rather good reason to. See, the world BU lives in is called Either Or, as I've stated before, and it has a very unique sort of, I'm gonna say, biology and atmosphere and etc. All of which I do have a lot of information on and a plan to talk about in more detail, but the sort of TLDR of it is they live on a planet that is split in two by a magical rift. You can't physically touch the rift, it's too powerful, it's absolutely churning with energy. But people from either side can transfer over depending on how they live their lives, their lifestyle. Most people are born on idle side, the idyllic, and they are defined by normalcy, regularity, and numbers. They are really into, if you took a census, all the numbers should match. They should have 25% of people having brown hair, 25 having blonde hair, 25 having black hair, and 25 having ginger hair. It's all about balance and sort of this restraint. It's not necessarily a bad place to live. It's extremely highly developed. People there are happy and there's very little conflict. But for those who are a little more driven and passionate in certain ways, it can become difficult. All my characters within this story, minus one in particular, are characters who transfer from idle to bender, and that would be the level of their game. There are a bunch of different routes, and the player has to try and get them to succeed in transferring over. There are a couple rules and regulations on how transferring works, but I'm going to keep that secret just for now. This right here is Bu in her kind of final form. She doesn't look like this throughout the majority of the story that I've currently planned out, because on idle side there are regulations and rules about your appearance and all that, but once she transfers to bender, this is her design. I wanted her to be loud, expressive, and she's really changed. Bu is about 4 years old alongside the entire story of Either Or, and she has gone through a lot of development since then. When I first designed her, it was part of a personal challenge. I just listed out all the notable features of the human body I could think of in the moment, and I designed a character based off of each one, which results in all the characters that are in Either Or. Bu is the very first one. Her characteristic was hair color, and although you can't see it in most of my sketches, because I don't really sketch with color in a way that makes sense, I kind of just put colors everywhere and leave it to value and stuff. I do have her full character design, and in that, she has these rainbow bangs. This area of her hair is red to purple over here. And that's kind of like her thing. Her hair also acts like a little mood ring. I imagine it going right, like really bright red when she's angry, or pink when she's happy, and yellow when she's super energetic and ecstatic. Yeah. Her hair is loosely based off of pufferfish. I wanted to give someone this cute spiky hairdo, and I thought Bu would be a great match. She's had multiple hairstyles. It all started because, her main trait was her hair, so it was important to get it right. But, now she sticks with this one, I would say. She's also gone through body changes. She used to be a lot thinner because there was a time where I was not very well versed in drawing different body types. And I'm still obviously improving constantly now. But Bu is now a little bit on the chubbier side, and I think it's very sweet and cute, and I like her like that. And if you don't like it, you can fuck off. I think it really matches with her personality, and it makes all of her movement and her clothing and her design choices really fun. She's not an incredibly active character or someone who needs to be buff and muscular or super like fit. So why should I make her like that? She likes to wear these shirts that are basically renditions of our super famous artworks, just really drawn badly. One of my favorites to do is this Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa. Oh yeah, Mona Lisa. I've also done Girl with the Pearl Earring. I think she just has a collection of these like sleeveless turtlenecks that all have terrible artwork printed all in them. I'm trying to give all my characters actual closets and themes and colors and just really make them super deep and have a lot to them. I want them to feel like real people in the sense that they're complex and they have fallacies and flaws and small insignificant interests. People aren't one note, and I don't want my characters to be either. So let's talk a little bit about that, because it's something I can talk about without giving away spoilers of what BU is and her story, etc. But she's always loved color, and as a young child, she really enjoyed going to the aquarium. It's one of her major influences. When I first started designing her, I never thought of her with the sea theme, but now it's honestly all over her. I give her a lot of sea-themed clothing. Her favorite animal is a praying mantis shrimp, and she has a plush toy of one of those, of which I have designed. She's also super into never covering up her tummy. I have never drawn her with like a full shirt, I think. I think she just likes crop tops and low-rise. She's into both skirts, but he'll also wear like pants, or sometimes they wear leggings. But anything that's colorful and super maximalist, he's pretty into. I tend to mainly refer to her with female pronouns, but I do change it up because they are gender fluid, and I like when characters have, you know, these traits that exist in real world people. And I think it's important to show representation within my characters. Their partner is actually another one of my characters, the next character in the line, whose name is Asher, and he is a trans man, and they are potentially the cutest damn thing in the entire damn world. I love them. Asher is also like a twig in comparison to BU, despite being taller than her. So I have this one drawing of where BU picks Asher up, and I think it's the cutest damn thing I've ever seen. It's in my next sketchbook, so once I finish that, we'll have a sketchbook tour, and you'll get to see it. These collections of, like, old sketchbook pages do come from sketchbooks that I've completed or sort of abandoned. Both of the previous sketchbook tours that have been done on my channel, I have cut out every single picture of BU from both of those books and placed it in her dedicated sketchbook, which I call the BU book. It's going to happen to the sketchbook I'm working on right now, but of course I have to preserve it in time first, which means I have to finish it, record a tour, and then post it. I'm not very far in that sketchbook. I think I have like around maybe a little over halfway done, which is a bit much, but if you've watched the other videos, you can tell that I tend to try and put as much detail as possible into all my sketchbooks and fill up a ton of pages, and I've only increased that desire. It used to not be that clear. Like my older sketchbooks, you can kind of see that there's some empty spaces and blank pages. Yeah, that doesn't stand true with my current ones. And obviously that just makes it filling out a little longer of a process. But I think it's worth it in the end. I love to hear about people's OCs and the stories and these curated environments they've come up with in their head. And I've just always been impressed and kind of awed by it. I love world building, I love all of these aspects, and I really wanted to make a project that I'd be proud of. That's what the attempt is here. A project I'd be proud of. Again, sorry for my recording setup. It is not great. Anyway, let's get into BU's mom over here. I'm kind of bouncing around between names for her right now. I've tried Valentine, I've tried a couple different names, but none of them have really fit her. So if you want any suggestions, I mean, like, I'm not opposed. I've got to say, I really enjoy my sketchbooks and my art and using it as a creative outlet. But gosh, is it sometimes hard. One of my favorite things as an artist to do is always consume more media. I've heard some people say that it's bad and you should give your mind rest and you should not, constantly fill your brain with junk. But my brain's already full of junk, so I don't think it matters. I'm a person who believes in constantly consuming media because as an artist, when you try to make something creatively, you're obviously going to have inspiration. And there's no better way to get that than just consuming other artists' works. There's often that sort of phrase thrown around that there's no such thing as an original idea, which I think is kind of bullshit because even it's altering an idea slightly can eventually turn it into a project that is completely different from its original inspiration. But what do I know? It perturbs me, I guess you could say, that people are so negative about creativity and creating new, interesting work. I see a lot of this discourse with, like, especially very famous, like, movie studios like Disney and such, when they do all these live action remakes and people get upset because it's not new, it's just the same story recycled. And I have to agree. Most of the times, I'm not a big fan of live action work. I'm a very heavy anime enjoyer. I feel like that's kind of obvious from the way I draw, but it's the truth. It's what I tend to enjoy when I want to watch something. I also don't really have a genre I tend to stick to. I'm not big on romance, but I don't mind it, and it's kind of unavoidable, so I kind of just, deal with it, move on. I like to try and consume different types of anime and such. Obviously, as an artist, I'm there for the animation, the style, the composition, the backgrounds, but as a person who also likes to write and make their own work, I'm here for the story beats and all the plot and the fun things like world building and etc. There are some shows I haven't watched yet that I want to, but I don't always have all the time in the world. And I also have a very odd system when it comes to choosing what I'm going to watch. Recently, a couple shows I've just finished, couple animes, couple movies, are some Ghibli films. Mostly just rewatching those because, I don't know, I just love rewatching Ghibli. And I just finished Cosmic Princess Kaguya. It was a very fun movie. The animation in that was actually stunning and gorgeous and beautiful. Highly recommend. And, like, the concept, I was really blown away by the world building and the way it was laid out. Honestly, obviously, the actual story was based off, like, the tale of Princess Kaguya, who returned to the moon, but I think it was done in a very charming modern way that fit the audience it was aiming for. I'm not a huge person who's big on, like, criticism and critique when it comes to shows I watch. I'd rather focus on positives than negatives. There are people who are much more qualified to talk about the negatives and failings of a show than me on the internet, and I also don't really care for talking about these negatives because, to me, I want to think about what I enjoyed from a piece of media. I don't want to talk about what disappointed me or what I wished was better because I just would rather talk about what I actually found endearing or special. It's nothing against criticism or critique. It's something I understand we need as artists to improve and get better, but it's just not my area. It's not something I'll do very lightly, and when I do critique a show, I try to be very kind about it, because at the end of the day, it's like someone's creative work, and we should always be respectful of that. Now, here comes the part where I turn this page into a fever dream. I'm a bit of a serial trash goblin. I kind of keep my trash whenever I can. I don't like throwing things out. I am a big environmentalist as well, so I try my very best to reuse, recycle, and all that. But it's probably a little much what I do with my treasure. I call it treasure. It's really trash, but it's treasure to me. Basically, I have these bins full of trash, and I will rifle through them, pick out a random handful, and try to attach them to my sketchbook. So I'll be back once I've done that. Right, so I rifled through my trash bins, and this is kind of the turnout. We've got an old blind box wrapper, some candy wrappers. They didn't touch actual food, do not worry. This piece of like a Velcro strap, this broken bracelet, a bit of clear plastic, some paper scraps from different projects, an old felt frog piece, a doodle I did on some schoolwork, a piece of a blind box, a Lego sword, this mushroom cardboard print that I got from my mother, this toy packaging, which has some really cool colors, some blind box pieces and a guide to the blind box, and these stickers from a sticker pack on Amazon. So let's do this. By the way, I don't have to use all of the trash, but I try to use as much of it as I can. So I definitely want to include this mushroom because I just think it's really cool. I think I'll put it down here. I want to leave that corner of blue out so we can still have that color difference, but that doesn't mean I'm going to have to slice off some of the grass. Don't worry, that'll go back in the bins for later use. Love that. We're going to put that there eventually. I really like this thing, and I'm kind of wondering if I should do it like full scale. I feel like that's a little lazy, but it could be quite cool. Like that feels like almost like a cover on Vogue situation. I do like that. I think I'll cut off these edges because it's a little long. But I think it will go right here. Yeah, perfect. I like that. I tend to make flowers or like little edge bits out of these guys, so I think I'll do that for all of them because I just have so many of these wrappers. So I think we'll do like some big old flower design of like them rotated and then stuck, and then I can put that like up there somewhere. That's a good idea. Definitely want to add this little frog, put him here. And maybe we put these, cut them out into mushroom shapes and put them up along the side so we can build in this mushroom. Do like that. And, yeah, I think that's good. I want to go a little lighter. I think we'll probably use these little stickers in certain areas that need it. Yeah, so I'm going to do that off camera because this is a little more complicated, but I will show you the final product. This is the final page. I'll be gluing this into my sketchbook and moving on to the next drawing. I hope you all enjoyed sketching with me, and I hope to some degree you'll come back for the next one. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. I'm Ace the Undead, and this is my drawing.